The year is 1978. The world of the automobile is a landscape of profound compromise, particularly in the United States. The long shadow of the 1973 oil crisis still looms large, having permanently altered the industry's trajectory. A new reality, defined by stringent emissions regulations and a newfound, if reluctant, focus on fuel economy, has taken hold. This period, often derided as the malaise era, saw the once mighty American V8 neutered by primitive emissions controls, leading to a generation of cars whose grand styling promised performance their engines could no longer deliver. Yet, amidst this era of diminished expectations, a beacon of hope remained: the Grand Tour. The GT car, a concept born in Europe, represented a different kind of automotive ideal. It was not a mere appliance for commuting, nor was it a raw, uncompromising sports car. A Grand Tour was a machine of immense capability and style, designed for the express purpose of crossing continents at high speed, cocooned in luxury and comfort. It was a car for the discerning driver, who valued engineering, aesthetics, and the sheer joy of a long journey well traveled. It was in this context that the editors of Car and Driver magazine conceived of a definitive test, a trial by fire to identify the single greatest GT available to the American buyer. This would be no simple track day thrash. It was dubbed the Luxator, a real-world odyssey designed to push these complex machines to their limits on the very roads they were meant to conquer. From sweeping interstates to challenging mountain passes, the goal was to expose not just their performance envelopes, but their fundamental character, their soul. Introducing the Triumvirate. The test assembled a trio of Europe's finest, each representing a distinct national philosophy and a unique answer to the Grand Touring question. This was more than a comparison of hardware. It was a clash of automotive cultures. From Germany came two champions, representing opposing ideologies from the houses of Stuttgart and Munich. From Great Britain, a challenger arrived, a machine of singular, sensuous purpose, carrying the weight of a legendary lineage. The contenders were the Mercedes-Benz 450 SLC, the established Teutonic benchmark of quality and safety; the Jaguar XJ-S, Britain's controversial but prodigiously powerful V12 standard-bearer; the BMW 630CSi, the Bavarian upstart, promising the ultimate connection between driver and machine. The central question of the Luxator was profound. In an era of constraint, which philosophy would prevail? Would it be the brute force of displacement, the precision of a driver-focused chassis, or the unyielding pursuit of engineering perfection? The journey would provide the answer. The context of the American market in 1978 is essential to understanding the dynamics of this test. The performance figures for all three cars were blunted by the power-sapping emissions equipment required for sale in the U.S. This had a fascinating side effect. It acted as a great equalizer. With raw straight-line power somewhat leveled, the subtler aspects of each car's engineering were magnified. The test became less about which car was fastest and more about how well each manufacturer's core identity survived the translation to a restrictive market. This pressure cooker environment forced a deeper evaluation of handling dynamics, ride comfort, build quality, and ergonomic intelligence. The malaise era in this instance became an unwitting magnifier of character, making the differences between the Jaguar's silken V12, the BMW's chassis brilliance, and the Mercedes' structural integrity stand out in stark, illuminating relief. The contenders, a clash of national philosophies. The Mercedes-Benz 450 SLC, the Teutonic monument. The Mercedes-Benz 450 SLC arrived as the elder statesman of the group, the embodiment of established old-world automotive royalty. Its design lineage was pragmatic rather than romantic. It was not a bespoke coupe conceived from a clean sheet, but rather a fixed-roof, long-wheelbase adaptation of the beloved R107 SL Roadster. This engineering choice, made to preserve structural rigidity and accommodate a small rear seat, gave the SLC its unique, somewhat formal proportions, including the distinctive slatted C-pillars. Its market position was unambiguous. It was the conservative, mature, and fiendishly expensive choice for those who valued substance over flash. Its philosophy behind the SLC was one of absolute, unyielding solidity. It was engineered to feel as if it were hewn from a single billet of steel, a veritable fortress on wheels. This bank vault quality was its primary selling point, a tangible expression of Mercedes-Benz's commitment to safety, durability, and peerless build quality. Every switch clicked with precision, every panel gap was flawless, and the doors closed with a heavy, reassuring thud that spoke volumes about its construction. At its heart was a 4.5-liter single overhead cam V8. In the American market, it was not a fire-breathing powerhouse, but a lazy, quiet workhorse, tuned for effortless torque and supreme smoothness. Its mission was not to thrill with high RPM histrionics, but to provide a deep well of pulling power that made acceleration feel inevitable rather than urgent. This engine was perfectly complemented by a 3-speed automatic transmission that the testers deemed perfect, slurring its shifts with an imperceptible grace that epitomized the car's character. The 450 SLC was not about engaging the driver in a mechanical dance. It was about insulating them in a cocoon of unflappable competence. The Jaguar XJ-S, Britain's velvet hammer. The Jaguar XJ-S entered the fray under a cloud of controversy and immense pressure. It was tasked with the impossible, replacing the Jaguar E-Type, a car so universally adored it had become a cultural icon. Where the E-Type was all lithe curves and overt sensuality, the XJ-S was long, low, and architecturally severe, defined by its infamous flying buttresses C-pillars. It was a bold, futuristic design that polarized opinion, a radical departure from the Jaguar aesthetic many had come to expect. Yet beneath that controversial skin lay the car's undisputed crown jewel, its raison d'etre, its 5.3-liter V12 engine. This power plant was, in a word, magic. In an era of wheezing, emissions-choked engines, the Jaguar V12 was an anomaly. It was a masterpiece of engineering that delivered a silken rush of acceleration with a smoothness and silence that bordered on supernatural. Its power delivery was turbine-like, a seamless wave of thrust that its V8 and inline-6 rivals simply could not replicate. This engine was the car's singular, overwhelming strength, a feature so dominant that it defined the entire driving experience. The XJ-S's mission was to be the champion of traditional aristocratic luxury. It was conceived as a sensuous machine, prioritizing a supremely supple ride and opulent isolation above all else. It aimed to glide over road imperfections, shielding its occupants from the harsh realities of the tarmac. It was less a sports car in the vein of the E-Type, and more a high-speed luxury conveyance, a British interpretation of the grand touring ethos that placed ultimate comfort and powertrain supremacy at the forefront. The BMW 630CSi, the Bavarian Blade. The BMW 630CSi represented the new guard. As the successor to the breathtakingly beautiful E9 Coupe, the 6 Series E24 carried the heavy burden of advancing BMW's hard-won reputation as the ultimate driving machine. From its aggressive, forward-canted, shark-nosed grille to its taut, athletic lines, the 630CSi was designed to communicate motion even at standstill. Its philosophy was one of total driver focus. Where the Mercedes prioritized safety, the Jaguar prioritized comfort, the BMW prioritized the dynamic experience. This was immediately evident in the cabin, where the entire center console was famously canted toward the driver, placing every control within easy reach. The car was presented as lithe and agile, promising a level of connection and communication with the road that the other two contenders deliberately eschewed. The heart of the 630CSi was BMW's signature engine configuration, a 3-liter inline-6. Known for its inherent smoothness and a willingness to rev, the engine was described as eager and sonorous. However, in the heavy 6 Series chassis and saddled with U.S. emissions equipment, it was immediately noted as feeling underpowered for its mission. This established the central conflict for the BMW. It possessed a world-class chassis that was crying out for an engine with the authority to match. A key differentiator that signaled its sporting intent was the standard fitment of a 4-speed manual gearbox, a clear statement that this was a car for those who enjoyed the mechanical act of driving.